Hi art friends! Today we are going to be making a dog in the style of the artist Romero Britto. And he does these really bright, happy artworks that have lots of patterns and bold colors. And so that's something that we're going to be incorporating in our work today. So to start our dog, we're going to do it in a little bit of a weird order, but to start our dog, what we are going to do is not quite, well, a little bit more than halfway up our paper, and in the middle, side to side, we are going to pull a straight line down, not quite all the way down. So you'll see that it almost looks like I'm starting to draw a tree. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to turn this into a really tall letter Y. Across the top of that letter Y, I am going to make a curved line that sticks out a little bit too far. So right now what we have is this is going to be the nose. This is kind of the top of the muzzle. This is part of his mouth, and then it's also the part, it's going to help make his legs. So above where this Y ends, a little bit above there, I'm going to make an oval. This is going to be our dog's eye, and I'm going to do the same thing. So above that part, an oval, and we want them to be a similar size. It's okay if they're not perfect. Then inside of that, I am going to add a smaller circle. When we go to color, or when you trace yours with marker, because you are drawing with pencil, you will color in this part right there. And since I am using my marker, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now I have two eyes. Above the eyes, we're going to add the top of the head, and that is just going to be a curved line. So you'll notice it goes slightly past where the eyes are, but not by much. The next step is to add our ears. A little bit above the line for the top of the head, I am going to curve, touch that other one, and curve down. I'm going to do the same on this side. And I want them to be about the same length. This one is a little bit longer, so what I might do is pull that one down a little bit farther. I want you to notice that if we look at this line, and this line, it almost looks kind of like an A shape. And then we have our Y in the middle. From the top of our ears, we are going to come out and down. So we're curving a little bit. And again, out and down. And it's okay if they're a little lopsided. One might be more at an angle compared to the other one. That's okay. I'm going to pull this down just a little bit farther. Then I'm going to close the shape that I have. From here, what we are going to do is we're going to make the muzzle part of our dog. So we're going to leave some space, maybe about 2 fingers, depending on how much room you have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to curve out and back up. Curve out and back up. So now I have pretty much my dog's face all made and drawn out. Now we're going to jump down to the bottom of that line that we made at the beginning of our work. And what we are going to do is we are going to curve down and out, and then we're going to curve again, but we're going to come almost all the way back so that if we close the shape, it would become a circle. And then we're going to make it look symmetrical, so the same on both sides of this line as much as we can. So I'm going to curve up and out, and again, almost like you're turning that into a circle. So those are his front paws, or hers, either one. From here, we're going to pull from the end of that curve, kind of up and out, up and out, so it kind of flares a little bit. And now these are the front legs. So remember, Romero Britto, a lot of his artwork is a little bit abstract, so it's okay that we're not seeing that belly. So I'm just going to make a bump, come down, this is the back leg, almost to that foot, but leaving a space. And then there is my back leg. And again, and you know what, I think I need it to be more like that. There we go. So again, curve out and down, almost, a little bit farther. And there's the back leg for that side. Now that we have, oh, we forgot his little tongue. If you would like to add a tongue sticking out, you will just add it just like that. So we're going to work on our background next. Romero Britto loved making hearts. And what I like about his hearts is that they are kind of lopsided. They're not perfect. They are skinny. It's okay if one side is bigger than the other. So he would just be kind of very free with how he drew them. I put 4 coming down. Then I'm going to add a few more on this side. One more down in here. And it's okay if some are larger than others, if some are more neat than others, it's all right. Now we are going to work on our background, the space that is behind our dog and the hearts. So one thing that I am going to do is from this ear, I am going to make a curve. Also from the leg, I am going to make a curve. Then over here, I'm going to come out to the side from this ear and up. I'm going to make it look like it goes behind those hearts. Okay, so that's a little bit of overlapping. After we have that line, where these two lines connect, just a little bit up from that on the ear, I'm going to pull another vertical line. Vertical lines are up and down. And another vertical line, and this one is going to go past the heart and down into this section, all the way down until we hit the bottom of that stripe right there. Now we're going to kind of draw the ground area, and so from this foot right in here, we are going to curve up a little bit. Then I kind of lift up and I keep drawing that going across. In the ground, I will have one line coming down and another line coming down, a little line coming across right next to that toe, and then From this foot, we're going to make kind of a curved line come out and off of the page. At this point, our whole page is laid out, and the next thing that we are going to do is talk about our patterns. So what you want to do now is you want to go in and trace all of your pencil lines with a black marker. You can use Sharpie if you have it, but just a regular black marker works perfectly fine. If you don't have a regular black marker or a black marker at all, use a black crayon. That will give you a darker line, and you just want to make sure that you go in a couple of times over it so that you will get these nice dark heavy lines like Romero Britto would. So go ahead and do that, and then I will check back in a minute. Once you are all finished with your tracing, so that you have all of this traced out with your black marker or crayon, whatever you chose to use, what we're going to talk about is some of the patterns that Romero would use. He would actually use his initials on some of them and these designs. So I'm going to show you a couple, and then you can make up your own. So he definitely repeated patterns a lot in his work. I am using a pen because I want you to be able to see my work. You are only going to draw the designs with pencil. You're not going to trace over them because we just want it to be a color change instead of this big line that's happening. We don't want the whole thing to be traced with markers. So you can kind of see them. I know they're a little bit light, but I promise you that they're there. So in here, I'm just pulling some stripes. I am going behind the heart, and I am stopping whenever I hit either the heart or the head of our dog. Our stripes would not go through them. And it's okay if they're not perfectly straight. It's okay if they're not all exactly parallel. Parallel is when two lines run next to each other, but they never touch, so they would never intersect, which is a great math vocabulary. Over here in this section, he also had patterns, had stripes, but they were wider. And again, you do not need to do the exact same patterns. That's really up to you. I do want the majority of your work filled with different patterns. So we can leave a few just a solid color, but I would like the bulk of them done with a pattern. So maybe in here I'm going to add some polka dots, maybe some big ones. And I'll have one down here. So I'm going to call this and this all the same section. And then in this leg, I'm going to add some polka dots. So I am going to keep making patterns, and I will check back in a couple of minutes. At this point, I have finished drawing out all of my patterns. One of the things that I want to point out to you is this. It almost looks like the pi symbol. This is actually a part of Romero Britto's signature. He would use his signature as one of the patterns or textures in multiple spots on his work. And a lot of people think that it's his just squiggles, but it's actually part of how he writes his name. So this is where the two T's are and the O. And so getting inspiration from that, I wrote my name in one of the sections. Since Britto would write his, since this is my version of it, I'm writing mine. You will notice that I also left a few, not a lot, just a few of the spaces blank because Romero Britto would leave and just have one solid color in there. At this point, I am going to start coloring in my dog, and I might choose to use marker on my dog and the hearts, and then crayon in the background, because that might give it a nice contrast of the darker colors of the markers and the lighter coloring of the crayon. If you really would prefer to do the whole thing with one material, say you really want to use colored pencils or markers or crayons, that genuinely really is up to you. Totally your choice on what material you want to do to add color. So I am going to start to color mine, and I will check in shortly. One of the things that I want you to notice about how I am working with the markers is that I'm thinking about the two colors that I want to be in the same pattern area. So for example, here I have already colored orange, the turquoise, the yellow, and then that lighter color green. What I am doing is I'm really thinking about what two colors I'm putting together, and I'm using the lighter color first, because if I use the darker color first, so for example, I know I want purple to go around these yellow spots. If I did my purple first and then I was using the yellow is going to be a lot more likely to pull in some of that purple and kind of make it look a little bit sloppy and muddy. But the advantage of doing the darker color after the lighter color is that it would just cover over it. It wouldn't necessarily blend together. And I'm doing all of the lighter colors first just to give it more of a chance to dry between, because markers use ink. They are a wet material, so you need to be careful as you're coloring so you don't smear it or so that they don't blend together. So I'm kind of jumping around and doing different parts, and then I'm going to go back in to add in my darker colors after. So I'm going to continue working, and I will check in when I am all finished. At this point, I have finished all of my coloring, but I love how the marker stands out and the hearts stand out from the crayon colored background. I think it puts some more emphasis, which is a great art vocabulary word, so that it stands out compared to our background, even though it's all really colorful. All right, I hope that you had a great time following along. I can't wait to see them, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.